What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm going to be bringing a combo slash hand test video for Dragonmaid. I got a lot of requests for this on my last Dragonmaid deck profile. A lot of people want to know how the deck sort of functions as a whole, where you're trying to get to, how your card's supposed to be played with certain hands. So I'm just going to make a hand test video, and hopefully we see some cool hands along the way and where we can get with them and how you're exactly supposed to play the deck. So this is sort of a Dragonmaid tutorial that will hopefully teach you guys how to improve your Dragonmaid gameplay. And I'm glad people requested this because when I look at the deck from afar, it's always seemed to be, you know, it's not as complicated as something like Dragon Link, right? You can figure out sort of how to play this deck relatively quickly, which is good because hopefully at the end of this video you guys are all Dragonmaid pros and can play out your hands to the best of their ability. If you do want to see the list we are on, there is a deck profile down below in the description, which is the deck we are currently on. And yeah, without further ado, let's give this deck a quick cut and let's get into the first hand test. Before we do, Discord link down below. It is a great place where you guys can have a Yu-Gi-Oh community and just talk amongst yourselves with other Yu-Gi-Oh players, maybe host some Master Duel games or whatever you want to do on there, whatever is fun to you. If that sounds interesting, join the Discord, and if you do like Dragonmaids, be sure to like and subscribe for more Dragonmaid content in the future. And now we'll go and get into the first test hand. We're going to open Dragonmaid Tidying, Lorepar, Hospitality, Noctovision, and Kitchen. So this hand's really interesting, but it works because we drew Kitchen. I mentioned in my deck profile, Kitchen is not a one-card starter, but she is very good with cards like Noctovision and Hospitality, which we ended up seeing both, which is very good for us, and we drew Tidying. So this hand's going to get exactly where we want it to, even through an interruption, which I really like. But for the sake of, you know, showing you guys what to do with the deck, I'm going to assume this hand doesn't get interrupted. But to sort of point out what goes on if we do, I'll put the hand down here. If we get interrupted on our Kitchen, we just make the Striker Dragon in our extra deck, special the Noctovision, and we still have Sphere's Tidying, which is very, very good. But we're going to normal summon Kitchen, we're going to use her effect, and we're going to add either Parlor or Chamber. I think I want to go for Chamber here because we opened the Lorepar. So adding Parlor, like the Hospitality, wouldn't get any boost off of that. We're going to add the Chamber, which is really good because now we can use Hospitality to dump Chamber. To resolve Kitchen, we do have to discard a Dragonmaid monster, which will be this Lorepar. And now we are left with sort of this in our hand, and we can do this like one of two ways. We do have some options here, so I'm going to go ahead and activate the Hospitality, and I'm going to special summon the Chamber, and Chamber's effect is going to search. We have a couple of things we can add here. Because we are playing Downtime, we can add the Downtime, which is very, very good. We can also add the Changeover, which could potentially get a Sheo, but we're definitely lacking getting to Spheres with Sheo. We do not have the cards in hand necessary for that. So I'm going to add Downtime here because it's pretty good. Yeah, it's just a really good card. Then I'm going to link the Kitchen into Striker Dragon, and the reason we do this normally is just to bridge into our graveyard, so we can actually use things like Hospitality to bring them out of graveyard. But for this hand, we technically could have special Nocto on the Chamber summon, but you know we didn't, so we're going to special Nocto on the summon of Striker Dragon, and then we are going to link these two off for our Hieratic Seals, which is sort of the end goal for this deck, and it's very important why. Because we linked with Noctovision, we actually get to draw a card, which is going to be Forbidden Droplet, which is pretty good. And then we're just going to set 3 cards, which, you know, is not terrible because it's 3... Well, it's not 3 interrupts we have, but what we end up with on our opponent's turn is the Downtime, which can bounce the Chamber Dragonmaid back to our hand to get a search, which is just like 2 cards of follow-up, because when you bounce Chamber, of course, next turn it means you can normal summon her and get an additional search as well, which is very good. We have the Spheres, which is a bounce, and then once it's in graveyard because it attributed itself, you can special summon your Nurse Dragonmaid from your deck with the Seals. Like say we use Seals to bounce from their cards. We get a special Nurse who's going to special summon a level 4 lower Dragonmaid monster in our graveyard, which is the Kitchen, which you can use to search Earnest and then dump Earnest, and when your opponent goes into battle phase, you can bounce both of these back for the big dragons in your graveyard, which just means you have more follow-up. And then we also have Tidying, which could bounce the Nurse, and we also have Droplet that can send all this extra advantage we have for another form of interruption. So we ended with like 3 interrupts and a lot of follow-up, which is really, really good. Definitely a pretty good first hand there to show you guys what the deck can do. Of course, it didn't lead to Sheo, but the very next turn we are going to get to Sheo. Because, of course, we bounced like the Chamber back, and we're able to search the changeover and very easily get into Sheo on our next turn. And that's sort of how this deck plays. It's a very snowball strategy. Your first turn board isn't anything crazy. It's usually 2 to 3 interrupts. Maybe a hand trap is boosting it a little more. And then your follow-up is what really gets it. It's a very snowball-heavy strategy where you just build advantage over time, and it's really the first few turns of the game where it sort of determines like how the game's going to go, because you need to get set up in a way. And yeah, we're just going to give it a cut there. I don't know why I said it like that. But yeah, going to the second test hand, we have a Crossout Designator, a Noctovision, which we seem to be drawing a lot of, a Tidying, a Changeover, this is looking kind of rough, and an Imperm. So this is one of those hands you definitely do not want to see, and this is sort of one of the problems the deck has. And why in my deck profile I said you just want to really open a Dragonmaid monster sometimes. All of these cards almost rely on you having a Dragonmaid. Like Noctovision is only good if you have a Dragonmaid. Same thing with Changeover, same thing with Tidying. Like we have 3 cards here that sort of require you to play for them to be good. Designator sort of in the same way, and Imperm's a good card. I mean, let's say we were going second. Going second here, this hand is amazing because we have Imperm as a way to stop their plays. We have Crossout, so we can stop things like Called by the Grave or any hand traps our opponent had. And then we're able to normal summon our Parlor, get her effect to possibly send Tidying. I mean, I think that's what we send here. No reason to send anything else. I mean, we're definitely going to send... actually, let's think about this. Yeah, let's just go ahead and send the Tidying. We could send, like, Chamber, and use our Tidying next turn to special the Chamber, but since we're going to make seals anyways, I just figure Tidying is a better dump as follow-up for Parlor on our opponent's end phase. Then we're going to link this off, and this is sort of why Striker Dragon's in the deck, right? We're able to link off the Striker Dragon, which means we can special summon our Noctovision, link these 2 off into Spheres, and then get a draw into downtime, which is pretty good. Because we were going second, though, what you would probably do is actually fusion summon with the Noctovision and the Parlor to make Sheo, because he's much better going second than Spheres is. But yeah, it was just like a terrible hand going first, but going second was playable because we drew Parlor. And that is why we're running so many consistency cards like Prosperity and Small World in this list, is to see one of our starters, because when you don't, you get a hand like we just drew that isn't particularly good. Which, yeah, it does happen sometimes. We only have 6 starters. We do have 3 Prosperity, 2 Small World to try and find them, but if we don't, that is the way the cookie crumbles. So we're going to go shuffle up for our next test hand. And yeah, if you are enjoying this Dragonmaid hand test video or are learning how to play Dragonmaid a little better, again, do feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Yeah, Dragonmaid's a deck I definitely enjoy playing, and it's one I hope to get some live duels on the channel with soon enough. Give the deck a quick cut here, and go into our third test hand. So we're going to see Chamber Dragonmaid, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom, Chamber Dragonmaid, and Nibiru. So this hand is insane, right? Going second, we open 3 hand traps. Nibiru Imperm is pretty much enough to beat any board your opponent's going to make first turn. We have Ash versus slower decks, or just a really good form of interruption. And we actually open 2 starters. Now, I wish it was Chamber and Parlor, because Chamber and Parlor together is very, very good. Seeing both of them in your hand is just always just full combo. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Chamber, assuming we're going first. Going second, obviously we have hand traps to save us, and we are going to grab Dragonmaid Hospitality. And this is where, if we had Parlor, we would definitely special bat with Hospitality, dump Lorpar. Well, really, we'd do it a little differently. If we had Parlor in this hand, we'd normal the Parlor, send Tidying, use Tidying to special Chamber, from our hand, search for tidying, and then link into spheres that way. That's what you do if you open both starters, but here we're just going to link off our chamber into the striker dragon. We make this a lot because we need it to be able to use our hospitality to bring back this chamber, and then we link these two off. One day I hope chamber gets her dragon so we can send it off of hospitality. That'd be great. And then we have our heavenly spheres with an imperm Ash and Nibiru, which is very, very good because as I showed in the first test hand, the sheer amount of follow-up you get off spheres is crazy, right? You bounce their monster, or, you know, bounce any card they have, and then you special your nurse. Nurse effect is going to get the chamber, and then chamber's effect is going to activate, and we grab hospitality. And you're essentially just even further than you were the turn before, right? Which is super, super good. Maybe instead of like going for nurse in this hand though, you can go for like parlor just so you get another Dragonmaid in rotation. As we do already have the chamber in hand and we don't have any big dragons available, parlor could help us get to some big dragons, which is really, really nice. But yeah, that's something you could do. Normally I just default to nurse, but it's not always the best play. In fact, I think maybe getting parlor there off of the Hieratic Seals was better than going for nurse chamber, but in most situations you will be summoning the nurse because she is just 2 bodies instead of 1, right? It's so much free advantage off of a Seals. Seals is just a huge plus for the deck, and it's so powerful, and that's why it's the end board. You get spheres and tidying, it's just almost an FTK versus so many decks. And we haven't been able to summon Sheo turn 1 yet. Hopefully that's what this hand will do. Although Sheo does not happen often on your first turn, I must admit. It's not really a first turn card unless you're going for Sheo over Heavenly Seals. That's just the way it kind of works. He's usually a follow-up, but you can get him first turn in a decent amount of hands. We'll go ahead and give this deck a quick cut and go into the 4th test hand here. We're going to see the Ash Blossom, the Pot of Prosperity, my favorite, the Kitchen, and the Earnest. So Kitchen and Earnest together can be really good if you open an additional Dragonmaid here, or really 2 extra Dragonmaids. I said only an additional because I assume Prosperity will find us one. This hand initially doesn't do anything. It searches for a follow-up by adding the chamber with Kitchen and then pitching the Earnest, but hopefully Prosperity here sees us something really good. So we're going to activate Pot of Prosperity, and we do have like 6 super poly targets in the extra deck, so we'll just go ahead and banish those for Prosperity, and reveal the top 6 cards of our deck, which will be Parlor, so we see a starter, Small World, which is another starter, Chamber, which is another starter, Hospitality, which is insane here, Prosperity, and Tidying. All very good cards except the Prosperity. I'm thinking that Hospitality is the best option here. Just because Kitchen can go ahead and like search for Chamber, which is going to be the best possible thing to do here. Yeah, Hospitality is just the best one here. It does open you up to more hand traps, I guess, but like this is definitely the best play overall, is just going for this. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Kitchen, use her effect to add Chamber, and then discard the Chamber. And then we're going to go ahead and activate the Hospitality, special summoning the Chamber, using Chamber's effect to go ahead and add the Tidying again, because we want our first turn to be Sphere's Tidying, because not only is it just so much follow-up, it's just like a really good form of interruptions. We're going to link these 2 off for our Hieratic Seals, set the Tidying, and we end with Seal, Tidying, Ash with like a decent amount of follow-up in the form of this, because Earnest is actually pretty good, right? Like say your opponent starts doing plays, you use Hieratic Seals, you bounce their thing. Now I say we definitely go and we grab Nurse. I think Nurse is just the best option overall. And Nurse is very, very good for so many reasons. Because we have Earnest in hand as well. So we're going to go ahead and get Nurse. Nurse is going to special back the Chamber. And Chamber is going to go ahead and add, I think the changeover here is a little risky. If we feel like our opponent's about to just dominate us, we definitely add Hospitality for better follow-up. But I want to try and get Sheo, right? So then they try to make another play, and we just like tidying, add back the nurse, which is really good, right? And we bounce their monster or something, whatever we need to bounce. We like Ash Blossom them, and they just run over the chamber. So they actually can like not get to run over chamber because you can use Ernest to special nurse, and then like at start of battle phase you can bounce chamber or the nurse back for Ernest. We don't have to in this hand. In fact, I think I want to use Ernest on my turn to just be an extender. So we'll see how that works because we also have changeover, right? So let's say they pass with not that great of a board, as we did have 2 interruptions and an Ash. We draw for turn. Nibiru, how much I love you. So we go to main phase. We can do a few things here. We can go ahead and Ernest out the nurse, but that stops us from getting like exactly what we want. So we're gonna go ahead and use Nurse's effect, special summoning the chamber, right? Like we got follow-up off of this for Hermetic Seals, and then we use Tidying to make it an additional follow-up, and that's how this deck just starts to snowball so quickly. Chamber's effect is going to add the Tidying because we do want to make sure we end on this broken card. Then we can actually go ahead and activate our Pot of Prosperity here. We're going to end up doing less damage because of this, but it'll be fine. We're definitely just going to banish 3, which is actually almost impossible here. This is what stinks when you open double Prosperity. So it's going to be the Striker Dragon, our Underworld Goddess, and then one of our Hermetic Seals. So we're going to go ahead and banish these 3 to reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, which is Nibiru. Hospitality is pretty much exactly what we needed for this hand. So Prosperity is good there. Then we can go ahead and use the changeover effect that we dumped to grave earlier. What did we even dump off of this? How did we get this in grave? I actually have no idea how we got changeover in grave now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I have no idea how we got changeover in grave. How did we do this? I'm lost. I'm really lost. Did we cheat and put that in grave? We probably cheated and put that in grave somehow, because I don't know how that got there. So yeah, I don't even know if there's a changeover there. We messed up. So if there was a changeover here magically, what you could do is add this changeover and the nurse. How did we get that in grave? What? There's no way we could have gotten in grave. How did that changeover get there? I'm sure I'll watch this back and learn that. I'm sure you guys are very confused, as am I. But I'm just now realizing it. So yeah, we bounce both of those back, and we would activate changeover, sending our Ernest and our nurse to make Sheo the girl herself. And then we could use our hospitality, special summoning the kitchen, which would dump the Tinkek from our deck. And then kitchen could activate, and we can go ahead and dump like another dragon. So we'll go ahead and add the Lorpar and then send the Lorpar with kitchen's effect. And then we can take both of these. This is engrave. Take both of these, make our last Heavenly Spheres, set Tidying, and then we end with Spheres, Sheo, Tidying, Nibiru on the crackback, right? So that hand was really good. I don't know how changeover got there. Did I just send it for fun? Like, what in the world happened? How did we get a changeover in graveyard? There's just no possible way we could have. We definitely cheated somehow, but I'm sure you guys can find where I cheated and sort of point out where that was, because I don't know how that changeover got in grave. I am going to have to sort of rewatch this, but on that note, let's do one more test hand, because that hand could have just been a fluke, because yeah, I don't know how that changeover got there. Maybe I was just talking about changeover earlier and then I just sent it to grave accidentally, or maybe I saw it off of Prosperity and then just sent it to grave. That'll be an interesting one to rewatch this and see how that happened, because I'm lost. I feel like I wouldn't just send it to grave randomly. Maybe I thought I had Parlor when I didn't. How'd that changeover get engraved? Did I open it and just like send it to graveyard? I don't know. That's really weird. We'll find out. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me ramble on the mysteries that is that changeover. But yeah, let's go ahead and go into our final test hand with our final cut here. Let's hope for something super playable. Tidying can be a good card as long as we see a play. Because we opened Small World, I'm pretty confident we'll see a play. Yeah, Kitchen with Small World does work. Effect Veiler, which is even better. And a downtime. So this is pretty good. There's a couple of ways we can do this here. I think I want to keep the Veiler and just keep a 1-card starter. So I'm actually going to use the Small World. Again, if you're coming from Master Duel, and I know many are, this would be Max C. And Max C can help you stall until you see a play, correct? So Max C is still very good here. But obviously, this is real Yu-Gi-Oh! So this is going to be Small World. We're going to reveal Kitchen in our hand. And Kitchen is going to link to Ghost Bell. These link because they're both level 3 and share nothing else. Their attributes are different, their types are different, their attack and defense is different. They're both just level 3. So these are both going to get banished face down. And because Bell had 1800 defense, we're able to add Chamber from our deck to our hand. We're going to normal summon the Chamber, and we are going to add Hospitality, as I'm sure you guys have seen many times at this point. And this is looking pretty good for an opening hand, because we're going to obviously link our Chamber into Striker Dragon, wherever he may be. And then we're going to use the Hospitality to special summon the Chamber. Again, this is why we play the Striker Dragon. Link these two off into Hieratic Seals, our main play. And then we're going to have Hieratic Seals, Downtime, which I feel like I saw this card a lot for a 1-of. It is a 1-of in the list. Tidying, and an Effect Veiler. So we end with 3 interrupts with so much follow-up. I mean, like the board with this follow-up is like a +4 or 5, and it makes our next turn so good, because this is an interrupt and follow-up, this is an interrupt and follow-up, this is follow-up and a +1 search, this is a negate, and then we'll have, you know, the Tidying next turn plus the Hospitality search. It gets so good, and that's what makes Dragonmaid so good as a deck. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know the only weird thing was, honestly, I don't know how that changeover got engraved. How did I do that? But otherwise, I think we had some pretty successful hand tests, except for that one, which we made it a successful go second hand, which, you know, could have been worse. So that is going to be it for the Dragonmaid hand test. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. This has been Aaron for Top Tier Gaming. Hopefully we get some Dragonmaid live duels for the channel in the near future. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye, YouTube.